What is up, my exchange family from all over the world, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Chief Chat. My name is Chief Master Sergeant Kevin Osby, and I'm your Senior Enlisted Advisor for the Army and Air Force Exchange Service. Before we get started with our guest today, I would like to introduce my lovely co-hosts, Leah Matthews and Julie Mitchell. How y'all doing?
Hey, good to see you. And it's like our first Chief Chat of the year with the three of us. So
I know the band is back together.
We're back.
Absolutely.
Full force.
Full force, man. So I am excited to have the band back together in full force, and I'm really excited about our next guest because he's an OG in the world of acting. My first introduction to him was from one of his fantastic movies that ended with the famous line of, "No, not Richie, not my Richie," and through the clothes. And yeah, so that, I really enjoyed that movie as a child. And so without further ado, Julie, please introduce today's guest.
We have a legend with us today. He has been acting for nearly 40 years. He's a star of the big screen, the small screen, the stage, earning Golden Globe and Tony Award nominations. And you loved him in classic films like La Bamba and Stand and Deliver. He recently starred on the acclaimed streaming series Longmire, the streaming drama Goliath, cable comedy You're the Worst, and the network crime drama Blue Bloods, as well as recurring roles on Brooklyn Nine-Nine and The Ranch. Now, y'all, he stars on Fox's hit series Prodigal Son, which returns for its second season tonight at 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock Central on Fox. Please help me give a warm Chief Chat welcome to Lou Diamond Phillips.
Hey.
Hey, Leah. Hi, Julie. Hello.
Hey.
Good to be here.
That's awesome, man. You got a laundry list of things, man. It took about 10 minutes just to read your credits.
That's why I can't read my resume on IMDb. It just puts me to sleep. I just get so tired. I feel so overworked.
That's hilarious.
Lou, thanks so much for joining us. And everybody watching, you know the drill, housekeeping. Drop a note in the comments. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Share some love and your comments and questions with Lou in the comment section below. We will be reading those live throughout the broadcast. Now is a great time to start your watch party to enjoy this live interview with your friends. And if you're not already following our page, you should, because Chief Chats are every week and we have great guests lined up all for you.
And so, Lou, it's such a pleasure to have you with us today. Can you tell us where you're joining us from today and how you've been faring during the pandemic?
Yes, because that's a story in and of itself. I am in New York City, where we film Prodigal Son. Moved out here, basically relocated for a little bit from Los Angeles when I got the gig. And my wife, Yvonne, and our daughter, Indigo, who's now 13, we have 5 cats and a dog.
Oh,
so,
wow.
yeah, we drove across country from LA to come to New York. And we're planning on doing that again between seasons, this last summer. Obviously, the pandemic hit, kind of pulled the rug out from under everybody. And we basically ended up, isolating in place, hunkering down right here in New York City. Not a bad place to get stuck, to be honest. And just rode it out here. Have not been back to LA since we relocated in June of, 2018, I guess. Okay. So, yeah, it's been different. It's difficult like everybody else. But we're back at work on Prodigal Son, obviously, with some very, very stringent COVID protocols, making sure that everybody stays safe, everybody stays healthy. Whenever somebody, has a little flare up, we put that ember out right away, and have taken immense steps to make sure that there is no spread. So, we're very fortunate in being very, very cognizant of what it takes, to open up.
That's great. So glad to hear you guys are staying safe. I'm really curious about how you traveled with 5 cats, a dog, and a teenager across the country. Like, the teenager part is way more impressive than the dogs and the animals.
The teenager is a little more well behaved. I mean, once we had our house broken, it was great. It was an adventure. My wife Yvonne and Indigo had never seen the Grand Canyon. We took a little trip, side trip to do that. It was, the phrase herding cats is very much, accurate. And that had, I got a Bandigo, one of those sort of not quite an RV, but bigger than a van. for all of the clothes that we had, because we knew we were coming for a year, at least. And so there was a lot of room, inside. But yeah, the dogs and the cats had free reign, inside, so I'd end up with somebody in my lap driving down the road. But, I mean, it worked out fine, and it was an adventure. It really was.
That's so cool. So, Lou, before we get into Prodigal Son, we have soldiers, airmen, guardians, Marines, sailors, and Coast Guard members. They're watching from all over the world. So we're off, a rough 2020. What words of encouragement and hope do you have for our nation's heroes in the new year?
Well, first of all, thank goodness we're in a place in this country now where we recognize, our men and women who wear the uniform and who, serve the country. Our gratitude, our respect needs to be constant, and not just on those special days, like Veterans Day or Memorial Day or anything like that. We need to constantly support our troops. As you know, I grew up in a military family, traveled all around the world. Programs like this were huge for me, which is one of the reasons why I'm here. Being stationed in faraway lands. My wife Yvonne, her dad was stationed in Germany, and that's kind of the story of her childhood. But first of all, thank you, and second of all, stay the course. We appreciate the service. We appreciate what you're doing, and I think more than ever we need to show, the world that our country is strong, that we are, still the beacon of freedom and liberty, and we will do what we need to do to defend that and to stand for that. So I think for everybody it is a rededication to those things that make us particularly American, and allegiance to country and not necessarily party.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I know that everybody watching, our military community, they appreciate those words. And you mentioned this, you have your own connection to the military. You're a military brat, if you will, and were born on a naval installation, and also were named for a Navy hero. What more can you share about that?
A Marine. Gunnery Sergeant
Marine hero.
Yes.
Yes.
Gunnery Sergeant Lou Diamond. My dad, and it's funny because my biological father, Gerald Upchurch, and my father, stepdad, but father to me, George Phillips, both Navy men. And Gerald had read a biography on, Gunnery Sergeant Lou Diamond. He was called the Marine's Marine, served in the Pacific Theater during World War II. And was kind of legendary. He was kind of the Audie Murphy of the South Pacific. So he liked the name, and a lot of people think I made it up because it does sound like a movie star name. It's my name. It's legit, and it's funny. A couple of guys that I've worked with, Brian Keith, who was in the first Young Guns, and Jack Warden, who I did a Christmas movie with called The Three Kings. Both of those guys had actually met my namesake because they served during World War II. And it was very funny. I actually remember, Jack, first of all, I get in the van one morning on Young Guns, and Brian Keith turns around and goes, "Who's the military man in your family?" And I'm like, "My dad." He goes, "I met Lou Diamond in a bar in Tokyo in 1948. So then I do the movie with Jack Warden, and we used to have a cigar together at lunch. And Jack went, "Lou Diamond." I went, "Yes, sir." He goes, No. I met the other one. I met him in a bar in Tokyo in 1948. So apparently that's where Lou, Gunny Sergeant Lou Diamond hung out after the war, letting other soldiers buy him beers. Good for him.
Man. Everybody's at this bar.
What
in
a
Tokyo.
story.
Yeah, I know. So we're going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to talk about your hit show, Prodigal Son. So it returns for a second season tonight on Fox. So if y'all are watching, watch it tonight. And it's a crime drama starring you, Tom Payne, Michael Sheen, Halston Sage, and Bellamy Young. It's
massive. Frank Hart and Aurora Perrineau, Keiko Agena. I mean, it's just a ridiculous ensemble cast. And they just announced not long ago that Catherine Zeta-Jones is joining us.
Oh, wow, man.
Man, this powerhouse cast just got more powerful. And I'm actually directing an episode this season. I start tomorrow. And I'm going to get to introduce Miss Jones to our world. So
nice.
That's very exciting.
Absolutely.
Wow.
So you play NYPD Lieutenant Gil Arroyo.
Yeah,
So
Arroyo.
so can you tell us a little bit about the show? Just
Absolutely. I mean, it defies description. You know, it's a cop procedural. It's kind of a thriller. It's darkly comic, and it's a family drama. You know, I mean,
yeah.
it's like Silence of the Lambs meets This Is Us. You know, so, you know, and Tom Payne plays Malcolm Bright, who's a criminal profiler, and he's so good at his job because his father was a serial killer, played by the amazing Michael Sheen, and he has learned so much about the process, but also it's that nature versus nurture. What part of murder is in his DNA, and it's it's something that he carries with him, and it constantly gives him this this anxiety and this baggage, and how his very rich family deals with it. After the patriarch obviously was captured and found guilty. So that's once again that's kind of a New York thing too. That whole pyramid scheme guy. What happens there. So, and my character is the lieutenant of the major crimes unit, and I have a very special connection with Malcolm Bright because I was the guy that arrested his dad. And he saved my life because his dad was going to kill me that night. So, we kind of bonded right away. And I've been sort of surrogate father to him, ever since. And you've got the evil kind of, genius Martin Whitley on the one shoulder, and you've got this really solid, duty, honor, police guy, law and order on the other shoulder, but also being more of the loving kind of nurturing dad. So it's a great dynamic and not one that you see in a lot of cop shows.
Congratulations on the success that you've had with Prodigal Son. And I gotta tell you, Gil, such a stabilizing force compared to Malcolm Bright. What's been your favorite part about the role, and what can we expect in season 2?
Wow, it's that thing, man. I've been up for police lieutenants before, and it's the double-edged sword. You want to be on a hit show, but if you're on a hit show in a boring role, that's gonna get old really fast. Come season 5 or 6 or 7, you're like, oh God, can you kill me already? But from the outset, Gil was just, I don't know, man. He was just cool. You've never seen a police lieutenant who has this sort of, Papa Bear instinct that Gil Arroyo does, and not just with Malcolm, but with his whole team. And we're going to see a lot more of that, this season. You saw a little bit of it with Danny, and their relationship, it gets stronger this season. But he's also got a very strong bond with JT, and we'll see that right off the bat tonight. JT, finds himself in a situation that's literally pulled from the headlines, and how the whole team responds to that. So right off the bat, in reading the pilot script a year and a half ago, I was so taken by the fact that I wouldn't always have to just go, you guys be careful out there. That's what police lieutenants on TV do.
Yeah, exactly.
The fact that I was going to have this relationship with Jessica, that I had this history with the family, that there was a lot of history and emotional baggage to be unpacked, made the character really interesting. And the very first line of description about Gil is that his fashion sense stopped with Steve McQueen in Bullet. So I'm like, I know that guy. I am that guy. So he's got the turtlenecks. I mean, he's retro without trying to be retro. You know what I'm saying? It's just who he is.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, this is cracking me up. So it's good. Launching a new season during a pandemic. What has that been like? How has COVID-19 changed production of this show for you guys? It's
wow. I mean, it's just huge. Every single day we thank our lucky stars that we actually even get to go to work, and it'll be a shorter season this year. We would have started, last June, didn't actually start until October. So we have a 13 episode order. They had to get all of their protocols in place. And that was, in negotiations with the Screen Actors Guild, the Directors Guild, the Producers Guild, IATSE, all the way down the line. So that, because I mean, many people are surprised when they come to a film set. It takes hundreds of people. There are hundreds of people there, and we're all working in close proximity. And they had to come up with a battle plan, if you will, for how we would approach the filming. And there are different zones. Certain crew only goes into certain zones. The red zone around camera is for actors, camera people, and the makeup in here and all that stuff that has to come in. And we've gotten very organized into how the machine works. We're all a bunch of creative types, man. We're all a bunch of artsy fartsy, goofballs. But we've all had to become a little bit more like a surgical team. Everybody's masked up. We only take the masks off for when the camera rolls. Actors come in only when it's time to act, when it's time to light, when it's time to set up, when it's time to art direct, all of that other stuff. And so that's added time, to the schedule, but it's kept everybody safe. And we're all getting tested constantly. I'm directing this week. I've been tested 4 times already. Oh, wow. So just making sure that we catch any outbreak, asymptomatic or otherwise, before it can cause any great damage. And that way we can keep the wheels turning. We can keep the ship moving. So we've all happily complied with what it, and that includes when we're away from set too. You're making the choice to stay in your bubble with your family and to not go out and basically tempt fate, because you won't be allowed to come to work, and that's important to a lot of people.
Well, I'm glad you guys are staying safe on the set, and so that's the main thing. And so
absolutely.
But so you did mention something about you are directing an episode this season, which is awesome, and I know you're super excited about that. So what's it like being behind the camera?
It's one of my favorite places. A lot of people go, well, would you rather do that than act? It's like, no, acting's my first love. But I write. I had a novel that just came out last fall that I did with my wife Yvonne, which has a lovely military aspect to it, by the way. But also my screenwriting, whether I'm doing acting on stage or on film or television, little comedy shorts and stuff like that. So I look at it as different branches of the same creative tree, and I'm just changing the toolbox. But the beauty of directing is that you're painting the whole picture. As an actor, you have this tunnel vision. It's like, my character, what am I doing? What are my lines? And all of that. With this, it's like, ooh, I want it to look like this, and we're gonna dolly here, and I want, you get to design the whole thing, which is really wonderful. And I'm working with the technicians much closer than you do as an actor. Obviously we're seeing the crew all the time, but to actually have a great conversation with my wardrobe designer or my cinematographer and go, here's the color palette, and here's what we want to evoke, and here's our touchstones. It's different muscles that you have as an actor, and I really appreciate using that side of my brain. Not to mention the very basic logistics of getting an army moving in the right direction. You got a couple of hundred people, and you all want to be pulling the same way, making the same, product, and not, all pulling in disparate directions where it just ends up being a cluster.
Yeah. So do you get a chance to make Gil have a different turtleneck or something?
Maybe something a little more elegant. I guess I could if I wanted to, but no. I have to say, Katie Riley, who does our wardrobe, is a genius, and she makes us all look good. And I gotta say, I've done so many, films, like Young Guns or Darkwind or even Longmire, where I'm the guy out in the desert, and I'm wearing boots and flannel. It's nice to wear nice clothes and overcoats and some Brooks Brothers and work in, luxury apartments. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. So tonight's a big night, right? The season debut for season 2. So how do you plan to celebrate? Will you be watching with your family, friends, or?
Oh, I'll 100% be watching with the family. What's nice is they give us the cuts before they actually air. So I've seen it. It's amazing. It's hilarious. And it's big. I mean, it is everything that made the show a hit last year. And one of the reasons I tend to watch it early is so that I can live tweet with anybody who watches the show. I did it all last season. A lot of our cast does that. And so, yeah, when it airs East Coast time, I'll be doing the live tweeting. Unfortunately, I probably won't be able to for West Coast time because I got to get up and direct in the morning.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. So I will be live tweeting the Eastern feed.
So are you tweeting from your personal page or from?
You know, people always go, "Hey, man, yeah, that's my page. It's the blue check," and they go, "Well, are your people answering? You know, everybody's like, no. If I wish you happy birthday, it's me wishing you happy birthday." And you know, the ton of cat pics that my wife takes, and the dad jokes, they're all mine. Guilty as charged.
I'm gonna watch tonight, and I'm gonna look at your tweets. I want to do that. I think that'll be a good way to spend the night. That sounds fun. And now that I know it's really you and not like your people doing it, that's even better. That's awesome.
I have cats. I don't have people.
Hilarious. So Lou, you touched on this slightly, but if starring on a hit TV show wasn't enough for you right now, you're celebrating the launch of your first book. So could you tell us about the Tinderbox?
Absolutely.
I heard your wife, and then the illustrations, right? They were done by Yvonne. So
yes.
Kind of a family affair here too.
100%. Well, I mean, the whole inspiration started with her. You know, when we started dating 15, 16 years ago, you know, I show her, you know, my writing, so that she thinks I'm smart, and she shows me her etchings. And I had seen a lot of her artwork, and she had done these beautiful manga style, and she's such a nerd and such a geek that she was into manga before it became hip here. You know, she literally had to go to the bookstore to get it. Now you can get it all online, and everybody loves anime and loves manga. But she was into manga back then in the 90s, and had done these drawings that were going to be a graphic novel. And it was inspired by Hans Christian Andersen's The Tinderbox. Well, when I saw them, I went, wow, this could be a movie. This is like some post-apocalyptic Star Wars kind of thing, right? And she went, great, do it. So I wrote the screenplay and finished the screenplay and went, man, this is really expensive. Nobody's going to give me this money. You know, nobody's going to give me enough money to direct this. So I talked about it with my manager, talked about it with Yvonne. We decided to write the novel, you know, and so I'd been working on the book for a long time. My day job kept getting in the way. I kept getting in the way. You know?
Funny how that happens, right?
Yeah, right. But so it took about 10 years. And I have to say, Craig Johnson was amazing. Because I showed him the first couple of chapters, he and his wife Judy. I said, am I wasting my time? And he went, no, you got to finish this. This is good. And so thanks to him, you know, I kept writing. And then in the later stages, novelist, best-selling author Chris Bojalian, who's become a friend as well, was wonderful. And he pointed me in the right direction. And, you know, he's really the reason why it got published. And his, by the way, if you guys are binging stuff, The Flight Attendant, first of all, the book is great. Read that. But the miniseries is fantastic too, and that's my buddy. I'm so proud of him.
Oh wow!
Oh,
yeah,
I just watched that this past week.
Right?
Yeah, she was telling me to binge it, and I haven't gone there yet. But now I'm gonna have to, especially if you're recommending it. So
absolutely,
on my list of things to do now too.
Well, not because I recommended it, but because Lou recommended
sorry,
it.
Leah. If Lou says it, I'm doing it. You come in second.
Where's the love, Julie? Where's the love?
Well, you wanted a little more animosity on the show, right? Chief? Like you wanted to pit me and Leah against each other. Here you go. Just
Yeah,
kidding.
get a little more spicy.
So what was wonderful is that, so I mean, the pandemic hit, couldn't work. I now suddenly had 8 months or so to do the final draft, to do all the rewrites, address the editors and publishers' notes and my agent's notes, and so that's, you know, suddenly I at least had an outlet and could fine tune the novel. Yvonne, the funny thing is, as I'm doing the novel, Yvonne's going, I don't illustrate sci-fi. It's a sci-fi novel now. It's just so mad. But she really got out of her comfort zone, and created some fantastical creatures, did some real kind of steampunk, more like, Barbarella, Flash Gordon retro sci-fi, which is really cool. And yet it still has some, graphic novel influences. But yeah, in the hardcover version, she's done 30 illustrations, and they're just amazing.
Wow.
And you can see her artwork on a daily basis on her Instagram. Yvonne Phillips is out there.
Awesome.
Have to check that out.
Absolutely.
So talk about writing process. You have experience with screenwriting, but how's writing a novel? How does that vary from screenwriting? Were there big differences for you?
Yes, and it's interesting because this whole conversation we've had actually overlaps. It's very bizarre because it affects everything. Yes, I've written a bunch of screenplays, and so it wasn't just taking the screenplay and sort of fleshing it out, which I look at from my director's point of view. What am I seeing? What are the colors? What's the setting? What does the hardware look like? What are the characters wearing? What are their inner thoughts? And the inner thoughts are something that you don't always put in a screenplay. You convey that through dialogue. And so I had to go back. I have to say my editor, Rhett Bruno at Athon Books, was very good in helping me not head hop. Because as a director, if there's 6 people in the scene, I'm going to shoot a close up on each one of them and know what they're thinking and try to make sure that they stay alive in a scene. You can't do that necessarily in a novel. It's called head hopping, and then it gets confusing and not as readable. So it was picking those points of view, looking at whose emotions are carrying the action in whatever given scene, and then once again applying a overview director's perspective to it. And having worked in sci-fi, having worked in horror, having worked in drama, and playing a lot of different characters, that allowed me to get into the head of a teenage girl or her mother or any one of the army commanders, and then make it very, very specific to them. And so at this point in my life, at my age, all of that experience and all of that baggage, hopefully wisdom, applied to writing the novel. And then it was just a matter of going back to narrative writing 101 and remembering the fundamentals.
Okay, awesome. So we talked about your IMDb and how it makes you fall asleep because you've done so much. So can you tell us what else you're working on? Is there anything else out there that you got going on that you can tell us about?
Oh my God. Well, I mean, right now it's all about Prodigal. It's all that. The response to the novel was so fantastic. The reviews were wonderful. And so, Yvonne and I are working on a sequel. We had an idea in our minds for a long time, and it wasn't really right just yet. And then out of the blue, Yvonne came up with this idea, so she'll get story credit on it, and it's fantastic. And it's a sequel, but it's in that world. A lot of people have fallen in love with these characters, but then there will be some new ones that are introduced as well. So I'm about a third of the way through that now, and I had to put it aside to start directing and focus on this, but I'll get back to that again soon. As far as other projects go, I've always got some irons in the fire. Working on a novel adaptation for a miniseries. So still doing some screenwriting, and there's the potential of doing some more directing stuff down the road as well. So we'll have to see. I mean, a lot of it depends on scheduling and time to potentially make up for the shorter season this year. They might there's no official pickup yet, but they might give us a longer season next year, which means we will be starting sooner, which means I'd have less time over the summer to do something else. And I might just want to take a breath. So, we'll see. We'll see. A lot of balls in the air right now.
Exciting stuff for you. That's awesome. I feel like you've always been around me, when I've I don't know, I remember seeing your films when I was younger, and then here you are talking with you live today. So that's great that your success, you have it, mapped out to continue beyond today as well. Did want to turn to our live feed where we have folks watching from all over the world, and just wanted to share some of the comments with you. So Carla Contreras is watching, and she says, "Wow, I'm learning military history. Didn't know where his name came from. awesome. Vanessa says, what? And then Carla also says that she has never seen Prodigal Son, but tonight she's going to be watching. She's not going to miss it.
You can binge the whole first season, by the way, on Hulu or Fox Now.
Yes.
Those people who will be watching it for the first time tonight will have some questions. So they'll want to go back.
And then Patricia says that she wants to check out your book as well, that it sounds great. And Leah, did I miss anybody? I think I missed.
The full title of that, by the way, the full title of the book is The Tinderbox Soldier of Indira.
Soldier of Indira. Okay. I knew that it had a soldier of, but then I was like, I don't want to mispronounce it, and now I'm like nervous, so I just stopped at the tinderbox. I'm like, I don't want to embarrass myself in front of you. So, but we do great feedback on the live. And then Susan says, my husband and I are fans of Prodigal Son. We watch it on AFN Spectrum. So you're reaching the troops overseas. Pretty cool, huh?
That, man. And happy to be giving some, some entertainment, and once again, sending my love.
Awesome. Excellent. Thank you. So everybody, as a reminder, Prodigal Son is back for season 2 on Fox tonight at 9/8 Central. So if you're watching, follow Prodigal Son Fox at Prodigal Son Fox on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Lou is active on social media. He'll be tweeting live. So Lou, before we say goodbye, remind us, where can folks follow along with your live tweets tonight?
Yes, I'm on Twitter, and I'm on Twitter only. I'm a Neanderthal, man. I can't, I'm not on Instagram. There are a few people posing as me, but I am.
So don't follow those accounts.
Yeah, no, that's Lou Cubit Zirconian Phillips.
Lou CZ Phillips.
Yeah, right? I'm at Loud Phillips, Lou D Phillips. On Twitter, and I'll be there tonight.
It does spell loud. How about that? Who knew?
Actually, the funny thing is that the first time I ever directed, I saw that because my name was so long they couldn't put it on the slate. I looked up and saw them marking a scene, and it said Loud Phillips, and I went, I guess I am.
So, I mean, as we all have got a chance to hear, man, you are a super busy person, but we absolutely appreciate you sharing some of that, carving out some time and talking to us and our viewers on Chief Chat, man. That's totally awesome.
My absolute pleasure, guys. God bless you. And like I said, love and respect.
So just know this means so much to, America's airmen, soldiers, guardians, because we have Space Force now, and their official term is Guardian.
Right.
So yep. So sailors, Marines, Coast Guard members, that we definitely appreciate you. On behalf of all the men and women that wear a uniform, I want to thank you for what you do to get us into a place where we can take our mind off of the craziness that we deal with on a regular basis. So we appreciate you for that.
Thank you, Chief.
So we wish you all the best, and thank you so much. And Chief Chat out.
Chief Chat out. Bye.
Bye.